Picture this. You're looking out over the Adriatic Sea. Midsummer, high clouds are drifting over a gorgeous, jagged coastline. And right behind you, massive, steep rocks practically shooting up into the sky, caught right between the shade and the sunshine. You are standing in what's arguably one of the most extreme, geographically dramatic landscapes in all of Europe. We're talking about a place where geology isn't just a pretty backdrop, it's literally destiny.
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating, millennia-spanning history of Montenegro. We're going to see exactly how an unconquerable fortress of sheer rock shaped a fiercely independent people, shielded them from massive global empires, and eventually forged a modern nation sitting right at a crucial global crossroads. To get there, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the Black Mountain, move into defying the empires, cover the Yugoslav century, look at reclaiming sovereign identity, and finally wrap up with the modern crossroads.
All right, Section 1, the Black Mountain.
You know, the very name of this nation basically tells you everything you need to know from the get-go. Montenegro translates to Black Mountain in Slavic, and that's not just some poetic name. It directly refers to the dark, imposing color of these mountain slopes during the winter and spring. It just immediately projects this sense of mystery and formidable strength, doesn't it?
And the geography here is truly wild. Get this, 37% of Montenegrin territory sits above 2,000 meters in altitude. With the country's average altitude hovering around 955 meters above sea level, we're looking at one of the steepest altitude gradients on Earth relative to its size. It's basically a vertical world.
But here's the crazy part. Despite this incredibly intense, extreme geography, this terrain has hosted advanced civilizations for thousands of years. Just think about this timeline. Way back in the early Iron Age, Illyrian tribes were already building fortified cities up here. Then the Greeks and Romans came along, setting up commercial ports and pulling the region into the Roman provinces. Fast forward to the 7th century, and the Slavs arrive, mixing with the locals and setting up a feudal order down in the deep valleys. So this towering fortress of rock has actually always been this incredibly diverse, multi-layered hub of human settlement.
Let's move to Section 2, defying the empires.
So for centuries, the people living here didn't actually see themselves as belonging to a unified state. Not at all. Instead, they identified fiercely by their local tribal names, like the Yugoslavia. The northern tribes proudly called themselves the true mountaineers, and they actually kind of looked down on the folks living down south by the coast. If you were hanging out in a local coffee house back then, you'd probably hear the mountaineers dismissing the southerners as the rabble of the south, or jokingly calling them striped shirts. It was this deeply tribal, highly localized warrior culture, totally bound by mountains and bloodlines.
But all that fierce internal division completely flipped with the rise of the Petrović dynasty. Starting in 1784 with Peter I Petrović taking charge, this dynasty somehow managed to wrangle that divided warrior identity into one massively formidable unified force. While the rest of the Balkans was getting swallowed up by the Ottoman Empire, Montenegro's newly unified tribes used their geographic mountain fortress to constantly push back and defy both Ottoman and Venetian expansion. It was a real David and Goliath situation.
And this endless cycle of successful defiance forged a really powerful narrative. They had a saying, Montenegro emerged from the love of freedom, pride, and the fight of the Duke of the Black Mountain. By the 19th century, this birthed a profound dual identity. Internationally, they were celebrated as these proud, victorious warriors, while internally, they viewed themselves as an isolated bastion of civilization, just fighting tooth and nail against massive empires to survive.
Which brings us to Section 3, the Yugoslav century.
Now, the 20th century, it was incredibly tumultuous for Montenegro. It's almost hard to keep track of how fast things changed. In 1914, entering World War I led to early military disasters and occupation. Then, by 1918, the nation was absorbed into the kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes. After the absolute devastation of World War II, 1945 rolled around, and Montenegro became a constituent republic within socialist Yugoslavia. And finally, 1991 marks the beginning of the tragic, violent unraveling of that exact union.
The main takeaway from all this is just the sheer whiplash of Montenegro's sovereignty over a few short decades. Think about it. Before World War I, it was an independent, internationally recognized kingdom. By 1918, that independent monarchy was completely gone, annexed into a larger kingdom. By 1945, it shifted gear again, becoming a republic within a highly centralized socialist system. So for nearly 100 years, the destiny of the Black Mountain was tied directly to Belgrade and the massive Yugoslav project.
And as we know, that project violently unraveled in the 1990s. In 1991, Croatia, Slovenia, and Macedonia declared independence. By 1992, war had erupted in Bosnia-Herzegovina. During this incredibly dark period, Serbian and Montenegrin units were involved in brutal conflicts, including massacres, until a NATO intervention in 1995 finally brought the active conflict to a close. It was an immensely painful, defining era, and it forced Montenegro to deeply reevaluate its future and its geopolitical alliances.
Moving on to Section 4, Reclaiming Sovereign Identity.
Following the heavy fallout of the 90s, Montenegro systematically pivoted toward the West, taking very deliberate steps. Step 1 happened on June 3, 2006, when Montenegro officially declared independence, formally dissolving its union with Serbia. Step 2 was in 2010, when they opted for full Western integration by officially applying for EU membership. And Step 3 hit in 2017, when the country officially joined NATO. Now, while this secured their status as an independent Western-aligned state, it's also caused some ongoing political friction and really tense relations with Serbia and the Serbian Orthodox Church.
Finally, Section 5, the modern crossroads.
Today, Montenegro is frequently hyped up as the Balkan El Dorado, but there's a massive, glaring economic divide here. A staggering 85% of foreign tourist visits and tourism revenues come from the glitzy coastal beach resorts. The stunning mountains up north, the exact same terrain that literally forged the nation's identity, only account for about 15% of the tourism pie.
And honestly, being dubbed the Balkan El Dorado comes with some severe growing pains. The economy is now heavily dependent on foreign investors and suffers from extreme seasonality. Basically, the money only really flows during those short, sunny summer beach months. This has created a huge spatial disparity. The coast gets richer, while the mountainous interior gets left behind. On top of that, all this rapid, unchecked development is causing real ecosystem abuse, threatening the exact pristine, natural beauty that Montenegro is trying so hard to sell to the world. Montenegro is absolutely a land of stunning beauty. It's an unconquerable fortress that's somehow held off massive empires for centuries. But looking at where they are today, it leaves us with a pretty critical question to ponder. Will the rush to become a glitzy, foreign-funded tourist hotspot preserve this unique cultural heritage, or will it slowly erode the fierce, independent spirit that was originally forged in the Black Mountain? I guess that's a question only the future can answer. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the world around you.